If you don't think I'm a real finance guy, you think this is a nice sweater, right? I've had this sweater for 3 years. I bought it off of a crackhead. I bought a ton of clothes. $10. Some of those clothes I still have. Some are pieces of shit, but they got me through like a month or two before it was $10. So I know my shit. Today we're going to talk about something that I found, I was thinking about for a while, and I just couldn't conclude anything on it. So I wanted to present it. I wanted to get some perspective on it from other people. But as I read it out loud, I kind of want to share my thoughts with it because it's something that really needs to be understood in order for true wealth to be built within the communities that it's needed in. It doesn't just extend to the black community. There are many poor people within America struggling of all colors. So if we can find a plan and find a way to build and generate wealth that works, that is functional, and that people can actually abide by, then so be it. So what I want to observe today is Dave Ramsay's 7 baby steps, and then I found the 9 rules to grow wealthy. I've been reading a few things in between as well. I've read P.T. Barnum's Art of Money Getting. I've read How to Get Rich. Oh, no, not How to Get Rich and Influence People. I did not read that. I read Think and Grow Rich by Napoleon Hill. And I read, it was like some book by super rich guy that was like The Alchemy of Wealth. And that was a pretty good read. Very self-indulgent, but just like this, I think it just kind of showed, I just kind of have one of those moments that is very alchemical that I'm really trying to figure out this formula, you know? Because if you can figure out the formula, you can profit off of it, of course. But, you know, in the alchemy of wealth, it was just like him trying to draw this kind of conclusion for himself of why he's wealthy. Within his perspective, within the topics he chooses to speak on, it just kind of reinforces, like, for himself, such and such. Okay, so let's get started. That's a long time. Most people don't even watch 20 seconds of a video. So if you're watching this far, thank you. You know? 9 rules to grow wealthy. The first thing is add up. I have to read it off for both. But this I have written down. The other thing is online. Add up all your debt. Identify where your money is going. Determine if you are actually making enough money. That's an important one. Identify your bad attitudes and habits. Be brutally honest about where you can cut back and stick to your budget. Pay down your bad debt. Build up an emergency savings. Invest wisely. Teach your children how to handle money and to stop the debt cycle. And now the other one, Dave Ramsay's baby step number 1, save $1,000 emergency fund. That lines up. This one says emergency savings though. Pay off all your debt. That matches up. Save 3 to 6 months emergency fund. Well, he gives a specific amount, but this does not. Invest 15% of your income for retirement. The 9 rules doesn't even mention retirement. Probably because if you're wealthy, you never retire. Retirement happens when you're exhausted and you can no longer work, you can no longer make money, you no longer enjoy what you do. You know, you've worn the mask long enough, basically. So maybe that's why it doesn't mention retirement, because Dave Ramsay's pretty old and he's still making a lot of fucking money at an age a lot of people retire at. Step 5, save for your kids' college fund. So this one says teach your children how to handle money and stop the debt cycle altogether. And I know if you watch Dave Ramsay's content, I'm sure he mentions it. I think in Financial Peace he probably speaks about it. In his books he probably speaks about it. But this one gets very specific about what the goal of this is. See, what happens now is that many kids are raised to use debt, to consume, to get a credit card as soon as possible, because they just want some fucking money in their pocket. They just want to buy shit. but it's not anything useful. They're not buying assets a lot of the times. A lot of the times the credit comes back to bite them in their ass, and they use credit. They use so much credit early on that the kids honestly end up becoming slaves. You know, so it's kind of fucked up. It's extremely fucked up, but you know, you have to really teach your kids to stop the debt cycle, or just don't get any debt that you honestly could not pay off. You know, that's really just the reality of it all. Pay off your mortgage early. Definitely a good step. This does not talk about real estate or home ownership at all. But Dave Ramsay takes in for purpose that if you're even fucking with Dave Ramsay, you want to be into real estate, or you at least want to own a house. If you don't want to own a house, if you don't want property, Dave Ramsay's obviously not your fucking guy. Because I know his strategy on that. At least I've read his strategy on that. I have the book downstairs, but I have not read it in a while. But it's basically get like it was either 5 or 15 year mortgage. 15 sounds a bit more more approximate, because the other option was a 30-year mortgage. So definitely like a 15-year mortgage. But if you have the opportunity to pay a mortgage off in 5 years, I would definitely go in with that deal, because you're going to be alive for 5 years anyway. Why spend that shit on Jamba Juice and being a fucking lemming when you could pay off a fucking mortgage early? You know, this does not even talk about mortgages. Maybe because a mortgage is a form of debt, maybe this is assuming within the idea of wealth, or whoever made it is more than likely at a type of level where the idea of buying a home isn't even like why even have, like, mortgage is basically fucking renting. Let's be honest though. Like, if you're living off a mortgage for 30 years, you're basically renting a house that you can't leave, or you have to find some fucking occupant for the bank to make money every fucking month off of you. You know? So it's kind of fucked up. I applied for a bank job one time, and I think I didn't get it because I asked, like, what do banks, like, really do? Like, I think I proved myself to be a really intelligent guy to that conversation. So my question wasn't about, like, oh, do banks, like, how do banks, like, really get to be the richest fucking people, like, ever? Like, are they just holding the money, so that's why they appear wealthy, and the money's honestly just flowing and funneling, and they have no real control over that? Or do they honestly, like, set shit aside just for the bank to show us how it's fucking done, you know? Like, it's like, I don't know why you can't pay your fucking mortgage, you know? Like, we got 700 million houses. We pay off every house every year, you know? Maybe that kind of thing. But I don't know. I really don't. Because the ownership keeps changing, the CEOs keep changing, the leadership keeps changing. Who's honestly able to keep track of that kind of long stream of memory, especially after the original bank owner dies? The last baby step is build wealth and give. I don't know. So I feel like you have to use both in combination. You know, I feel like it reinforces the same kind of things, you know? Like, paying off your debt is extremely important. And I think it reinforces, at least I want to reinforce rather, that yes, pay off your debt as soon as possible. If you can honestly pay off your debt, there's no reason to keep dealing with money. If you have zero debt, you don't need to have a job or do anything. You know, but if you do have debt, and you do have manageable debt, and you have debt that you can pay off, or you have debt that you can write off, do so. Because why live with that kind of weight? Like, it's fucking up your credit. And I have a credit card by the little thing. Maybe I'll make that the thumbnail or something. I don't know. It's just, you can see it, like, it's nice. Maybe I'll edit it in. Maybe if I actually spend time editing videos, I'll delete myself saying this, and then I'll put this up. But I'll more than likely do the thumbnail thing, because while I have an infinite amount of time, I don't feel like I'm gonna, like, actually do that. I think I will just do a thumbnail. But now I might have to edit it just to cut this part out. God damn. Difficulties. I think I'm just gonna keep it real. You know, if you've been watching this long, then there's no reason not to just continue. Okay, so I think I know Dave Ramsey's baby steps back and front. I may not, but I've been fucking with them for a while, so I think I basically have them in order. So we're just gonna deal with the 9 rules for this because I'm familiar with Dave Ramsey, but I'm not really familiar with this. You know, so if you do add up all your debt, let's say that I have a pen here. I don't think it works. I have a pencil. If you're a writer, you always gotta have a pencil on you, I'm telling you. Alright, so if add up all your debt, let's just say that the debt figure, and you get your own paper and you do this yourself. Because if you're watching this part and I didn't edit the first part, I'm not gonna do this for you on screen. You can do it yourself. You're a big boy and girl. You know. Alright, so let's say you have 50,000. I feel like 50,000 is like the average amount of debt. But even if you owe more than 50,000 or less than 50,000, you could probably still get done with this. Let's say you have 50,000, maybe 25 of that is in student loans. Maybe another 10 of that is in credit cards. Or maybe half of that 10 is like, let's just retirement shit. I actually wrote retirement shit. You know, it's like, so if you're planning for retirement and you're setting aside a lot of money that you can't use, it honestly is kind of like a death debt. You're really just making a retirement company rich or making a bank rich while you fade off the inevitable. It's dark, isn't it? It's the truth though, man. It's the truth. You pussy niggas afraid to die. You know, that's why you do shit like this. You know, you don't think you're gonna be alive long enough to pay this off, so you racked up $1 million, $2 million in fucking credit card debt. You know, yeah, that motherfucker was afraid he got like fucking $25,000 in fucking hospital bills. Let's do that. I'm gonna do that. You got fucking, what's that, 35,000, 4,000. We'll do another 10,000 in medical. You know, this is like astronomical fucking debt, you know. So let's see which one works. Medical shit. You know, motherfuckers afraid to die. He wanted to die in a hospital. He didn't want to die in his fucking bed. He was gonna die anyway, but he just wanted to die in a fucking hospital. He had to die in the streets. He didn't want to die around his family. You know, he didn't want to die of cancer. He wanted to get fucking, nah, I'm good. I feel like I can pay this off. $50,000, $2 million, $15 million in debt, and you're watching this, give me a call. Add up all your debt. Okay, we did that. And then Dave Ramsey's is save $1,000. So I got $50,000 that I owe. And Dave Ramsey wants me to set aside $1,000. Alright, this is telling me identify where your money is going. This is damn sure is not where my money was going because I was not paying off my fucking debt. So what I like about those first 2 steps is that you're immediately faced to be honest with yourself. These are not my numbers, you know. Stop calling yourself broke. Say these are my numbers. You know, and you're working on your numbers. That's all it is. You're working on your numbers. That's how you're going to escape poverty, man. Determine if you're actually making enough money. I'm going to write that shit down. That's a good t-shirt. Working on my numbers. Like if you're going to buy that t-shirt so I know how many to make. Because I need that shirt, man. I definitely need that. If someone else wants to make the shirt, make the fucking shirt. That's a good fucking tagline. Determine if you're actually making enough money. If I have $50,000 in debt and I can't afford to put aside $1,000, then I'm probably in a really fucked up financial situation, which would probably be the reality of like, I know the actual numbers for this. I'm fucking stressing about it. It's honestly, it's like a real situation for about 30% of the population. And then it's like but for like 70% of people, like only 30% of people get to really say that they're poor in America. The other 70% just have no fucking idea how to manage money, quite honestly. And that's a goddamn shame. That's the reality, bro. It's only the richest nation because everyone keeps giving their money away. Determine if you're actually making enough money. So I need $1,000. Let's say that I need. Well, I'm putting aside $5,000 for retirement already. I don't know. That retirement shit is probably just gonna be for specific to this because the more I think about it, it doesn't seem realistic that if you're putting aside. Let's just work with that. Maybe this is just someone who just like has no idea about money. So there's obviously $5,000 annually to put away for retirement. Alright? So they can give us like some kind of basis. I did not bring my fucking phone. I gotta do math right now, motherfucker. God, I was not expecting to have to do real math in this video. You gotta see if I passed 4th grade. I don't know if did I pass 4th grade? 12 divided by 5,000. Well, I don't need to do real math, because I'm gonna do this instead. Let's just do 10 months. The year's not over yet, right? Because I know what that is. So 5,000 divided by 10, chop that off. Putting aside about $500 every single month for retirement. So if the average person puts aside about 10 to 20% for retirement, sometimes less than that, quite honestly, sometimes nothing. So 10 to 20% of the income equals $500. Then that means you're either making 10 times that, which would be 5,000 whole bucks, or you're making, what the fuck? No, I think that's it. Alright, or $10,000. I knew I was doubling somewhere, but I forgot where I was doubling. Okay, that was the transition to double. If you're making $5,000 to $10,000 a month and you have debt, then that's a youth thing. That's a youth thing. I've never seen that kind of money in my fucking life. This brings me to the point, who the fuck can afford to put $500 aside for retirement every fucking month? I should have knew there was some bullshitting going on. You should have known. Identify your bad attitudes and habits. I think I just did it, I know people that do make $5,000 and $10,000 a month. I know people that make like $500 in a fucking day. And like I keep working like real jobs sometimes, like working 9 to 5. Like we'll talk, honestly. I'm not gonna lie to you, because that equates to about like $100,000 a year, or like $200,000 a year, or $500,000 a year, or $1 million a year. Those people exist. They're real. Like they're not mythical otherworldlings. But what's more real is people that honestly do have bad attitudes and bad financial habits. So the issue is never like, and this is the only way you're going to be able to solve the economic disparity as well, is because if you can't account for your own bad habits and your own bad ideas about wealth, about riches, about prosperity, about money, about you personally having enough or having more than enough to survive in the world. If you are against yourself having more than enough because other people have more than enough, you're a hating ass motherfucker. And now we can't fix the economy because instead of you being able to bring real financial issues to the table and to actually be able to describe and talk about how this system is fucked up, you first need to have some bomb ass fucking financial skills so that you can really break the shit down for yourself, because you got to fix it for yourself first to say that there's an issue, sadly, because you have to prove that there was something that needed to be fixed. Pay attention to that. Be brutally honest about where you can cut back and stick to your budget. This is a big Dave Ramsay step, actually, too. I'm reading the 9 Rules to Grow Wealthy because it's very new to me. So I'm analyzing it and I'm breaking it down, and I'm seeing what I can apply for myself. But be brutally honest about where you can cut back and stick to your budget. Personally, for us, a big step was Dunkin' Donuts and then something medicinal. But, you don't have to go to the doctor all the time. Sometimes you gotta be your own doctor, So be brutally honest about where you can cut back and stick to your budget. I feel like this is something that Dave Ramsay overall processes his mentality about. But Dave Ramsay's 7 steps is more methodical, and this is more like self-reflective. It's more responsive to how you personally deal with your finances. And it's a lot less about, honestly, any other kind of mentality about money that other people have. You personally need more than enough to get by in life. You don't ever want to face an eviction. You don't ever want to have an abortion because you couldn't afford or because someone didn't think that you can provide. You don't ever want to be stuck in a situation financially where another person has control over you. You really don't. Some people don't have the spiritual guidance or have the kind of relationship skills or just the relationship or network to kind of pull shit like that off. And even if you do, you don't ever want to be in those situations because it's going to erode your self-esteem. It's going to erode your self-discipline. It's going to completely erode your sense of mind and your sense of mentality and your sense of dedication to something really greater and something really higher. It's good to be happy for yourself, and it's good to be able to give back once that boon is given, but if you can't control eating out, if you can't control buying video games or buying drugs, if you can't control buying coffee, or not having your own energy to begin with, then you set yourself up in a position financially that you either will not have enough because you've given so much away to things that weren't needed that when the need came, you couldn't supplement, or you might be like me, and it's easy to spend money on some small dumb shit, but it's harder to spend something over $50 or $100 because even though you've lived a life of general comfort compared to most people, even in the situations that I was in, I feel like I found some relative way to make my situation pretty fucking nice and enviable, I guess. If envy is the goal, then I don't know. I hope envy is not the goal, but for some people I feel like envy is the goal. My point is that I lived very comfortably and I lived very lavishly, even when I was homeless. Even when I had no place to call my own, I had a place to call my own. I at least had people to call, my friends, who allowed me to call their place my own, and then have other people come over to call the place their own. I may never live like that again, but I'm happy for the time that I spent doing it, because now it gives me a different moment to reflect on what I feel like doing and not doing. Pay down your bad debt. I like that Dave Ramsay's 2nd step is just pay off all your debt. It's nothing about good debt or bad debt. Again, these are the strategies to grow wealthy. Dave Ramsay's strategies are for financial peace. Dave Ramsay's strategies are for people who want stability, they want comfort, they want consistency, they want to be the middle class, they want to be the upper middle class. They don't really have, if you're still going to someone else like Dave Ramsay, then you're not really looking to get $1 trillion, let's say that. You're looking to get about maybe 500,000 of your first mill, and that's good. You should do that. We should all do that. Pay down your bad debt. Very important. It's very important to pay down your bad debt. But you should pay off all your debt, and then you should just not have debt. And then you could just have capital. And capital is better than credit. Build up an emergency savings or build up capital. Imagine that. Build up emergency savings or build up capital. Dave Ramsay says 3 to 6 months emergency expenses. But once again, like I say with this retirement shit, or the student loan shit, or this credit cards, or this medical shit, then if you're putting aside this kind of money, $500 every single month, towards something that you can't use and you can't access within the immediate to midterm, you might actually be getting fucking scammed. Just saying. Just saying, that's the reality. If you're putting aside so much money that you can't afford to live your own life, or you're paying off so much debt that you can't live your own life, you really need to transform and fix that situation. Definitely give me a call. Invest wisely. Of course. No shit. You know? I don't think Dave Ramsay really, he covers that, I guess. Dave Ramsay's more so just trying to save people. You know? He's trying to save people from themselves. So I feel like it is important to tell people to invest wisely. Because I feel like any transaction that you do is an investment. Anytime that you're earning money and spending money, you are indeed investing. And it's not good to teach people that it's not. Because even if it's not a large amount of money, you're still investing your time, you're still investing your energy, and you're still building a paradigm. If that paradigm is in making money, if that paradigm is in, you know, just doing stocks just for fun instead of buying lottery tickets, I'm telling you, one paradigm obviously pays fucking more off and pays more off more fucking consistency than the other shit ever fucking would, you know? I feel like I'm about to just go to the fucking convenience stores with business cards for Robinhood and free Robinhood fucking stock and give it to these fucking people that buy lottery tickets and just get a bunch of fucking free stock. Because if you're going to play lottery and you think it's a fucking game, most of the shit people do to get rich is real life a fucking game to them. Like, people that do Bitcoin, invested in Bitcoin back then, a lot of them did it because they are fucking gamblers. I love using that term when I play League of Legends or play games like you're a fucking gambler, man. Like, you're willing to take risks and chances just to fucking see what happens. Even if you die, even if you don't fucking make it, you know, it's that much kind of like adrenaline junkiness or just self-confidence and undeserved vainglory that makes people fucking take a leap of faith like Bitcoin, you know? Then after you see other people do it, other people jump on and they fucking do it. I don't want to fucking do it because I don't believe in fucking electric money. I feel like the biggest fucking issue with money is that a lot of the things that we spend our shit on is not fungible and not fungible, you know, and it does spoil. It does go to the rotten. It's something that, like food, like most of us spend most of our money on fucking food. And food is the reason why we don't fucking use food as fucking money, you know? If you buy some shit from LaFay LaRue or some gay shit like that, and you don't eat your full meal there because that little slice of pear and that periwinkle fucking quail's egg was just so stuffing for you, and you had to leave half for later, but then you don't eat it because once you're actually hungry, you know that shit's not going to fill you up, and you spent $50 on that fucking periwinkle egg, you know, you're really going to fucking wish you didn't go to LaFay LaRue, whatever the hell I said, you know. You're going to wish that you went to Burger King, and after you go to Burger King and you gain 100 fucking pounds from eating Burger King because it's cheap or whatever, sorry if that hurts your feelings, you know, but if you're poor, like, allow your feelings to be hurt because then you'll know that you no longer want to be poor. If you're poor and you're in a fucked up situation financially, allow your feelings to be hurt, allow yourself to be offended so that you fix your fucking financial situation. Because you're getting defensive about shit that needs to get fixed is why shit doesn't get fixed to begin with. If when someone hits the fucking sore spot for you and you're like, oh, that's my fucking problem, then that's your fucking problem, bro. Like, get fucking over it and fix this shit. Stop being such a little bitch about it. You know, just fix it. Take some fucking accountability. So definitely invest wisely. You know, definitely spend wisely. Because once again, like I said, every single transaction that you make is an investment. And if you're investing in people that aren't trying to have conversation with you, they don't value it, they're not... Like, some people are looking at you, but you're just not their closest fucking whatever. So you go to their store, but, like, you consistently go to their store. You consistently give them service. So they're still going to treat you... You're still a fucking customer. They're still the fucking, like, clerk, whatever. But... You know, you're building a fucking relationship within its own fucking way. You know, for real, for real. It's reality. And then, since this world works in a really fucked up way, when you make those investments and you're a good customer, you're leaving a lasting impression for everyone that looks like you, for everyone that talks like you, for everyone that presented the same kind of experience that you gave, you know? That's the fucking truth. Teach your children how to handle money and to stop the debt cycle. You know, very important. Because it's not just about... Because I think it's very specific as well, because we're always teaching kids about money. Every transaction that we make, every time we're making money, the things that we do, such and such, things of that nature, you know, it's really nice. It is. It's really, really nice. But if you're not able to teach your kids to make $1 trillion or $1 billion, then you need to continue learning more about money. Because it's not about having $1 trillion or $1 billion. But if you know how to get $1 trillion, you know how to get $1 million, you're not going to go fucking hungry. You're not going to be struggling over how to find 10. And if you know how to find $1 billion, but you don't know how to find fucking $10 or $1 or $5, then you need to humble your fucking self. Because that means that you don't know how to just get down, get dirty, and ask for some fucking money, or fucking ask for a fucking job, or just work the job that you need to fucking work. You know, if you're worth more and you can make more, then take that leap of faith and do it. But shut the fuck up and prove it. You know, don't be expecting people to support you when you're taking a leap of faith. And that's not about, oh, they're not going to understand. You just took a leap to your suicide. And if you don't grow a pair of wings, you're going to die. You're going to die because of your foolishness. You're going to die because of your pride. But if you grow those wings, and you trust in God, and you trust in the plan, and you stick to what the fuck you're doing, and you keep allowing yourself to come back to everything that you've done and everything that you work on, then absolutely, teach your kids about money. You know, but if not, and you're harboring resentment towards money, you're harboring resentment towards people that, maybe not people that have been rich for multiple generations are completely disconnected from society, but if you can't appreciate the people that get rich off of their own merit, and their own work, and their own ability, then there's no hope for you. Because there are definitely this is once again my point, there are definitely some people that are unfairly rich. I didn't say wealthy. They are unfairly rich. They are scam artists, they are con artists. Absolutely. There are people that over lifetimes, their family has been building wealth. Their family has been teaching them to build wealth. Their family has given them the skills and giving them the gifts to manage money and to be money's master. And that's not something to be jealous of. That's something to learn from. People that are unfairly rich are not the same as people that are wealthy. And if we can't distinguish the two, and if we can't respect those that actually understand how money works and understands what to do to money versus people who are manipulating people and using people and playing people to get money, then we're not going to get anywhere. Because there's some people that are honestly grinding, and that's nice for them. Hustling is nice for them. There's some people earning, once again, like $5,000 to $10,000 every single month. $20,000 a month, you know, real talk. And no matter how the fuck they're doing it, you know, whether it's ethical or unethical, There are people that are doing it. You know? So if you're not doing it, there's something wrong. You know, obviously that's the idea and mindset. But in reality, it's true. Like if you don't want that kind of money and you don't want to take those unethical approaches, there are ethical ways to make that kind of money. So if you want that kind of money, then, but that's the key. If you want that kind of money, then go for it. If you don't want that kind of money, be very specific about what it is that you do want from life and what you do feel is a need of life that you do not have or do not feel like you could reasonably get. And then you can either run for Congress, you can either run for public office, local public office, or you can write them a letter if you're not a leader and you can't do that yourself. Or you just want to help yourself and this is something that you noticed and you can fucking pass forward. I made a video. So if you're intelligent, you're more than likely stuck to the end of the video. If you're not, then you probably watch 20 seconds and so fucking be it, you know? But it's probably the best damn financial advice any of you are ever going to get in your fucking lifetime. Because a lot of you are too stubborn, a lot of you are too ignorant, and it's not a matter of color, you know? It's like, I've lived in a lot of different places. There are people that truly and honestly get to a level of finances that is unbelievable. Look at Warren Buffett. And I don't mean look at Warren Buffett and like, oh my God, look at Warren Buffett. No, I mean, like, look at how he chooses to come across. He's like the fucking guy from Up, you know? He just... actually, I take it back. The guy from Up is actually really fucking grumpy. He's like the opposite of the fucking guy from Up, you know? And I guess, like, kind of, like, weird kind of way. He's like... I don't have a good Warren Buffett impersonation, I think. He's like, but I had my first penny, and I didn't spend that penny on ice cream like my grandmother told me. No. Instead of spending that penny on ice cream like my grandmother told me, I put it in my pocket. And here it is. My first penny. That's like Warren Buffett, man. Like, he just like, oh my God. Like you don't feel like you could ever fucking possibly be that fucking dude. I couldn't fucking be that guy 24/7, 365. I guess I try to be. Like, some people will tell me that I try to be. But like, yeah, that shit's fucking crazy, man. That's just fucking a whole different world. You know? That's the truth. I think that goes back to like your bad attitudes and habits. It's like, it's more than just your bad attitudes and habits about money. What are your bad attitudes and bad habits with people? What are your bad attitudes and bad habits about social engagements? What are your bad attitudes and bad habits about fucking anything? You know, like anything holding you back. Because in my experience, and this is going to be the last thing I really talk about, you know, I really don't like making videos that often because I'm not a fucking psychopath and I'm not a fucking narcissist. I have no interest in it. But, you know, when I do it, like now, like I really feel like I get what people do it for and why they fucking do it and shit like that. I don't think this would be something that I do daily. Because if I was to do this properly, there would be so much editing that would probably need to be done that just, like, I don't know. I don't fucking know. But, I don't know, it's fun. I completely fucking forgot what I was talking about. I'm just gonna end it there.